Welcome, everyone. We are going to get started. I know that folks are probably still filtering in, but we have a very full agenda, so we're going to get started. My name is Liz Williams, and I am a program officer with the Career Academies team, and I am joined today by my colleagues Serene Dunleavy-Keenan and Isabella Zhang, who will be on the call today as well. So our agenda for today, like I said, is very full. We are so excited that you are all here today. We will do a quick welcome from the Greater Twin Cities United Way team. Then we will move into our featured presenters, St. Paul Youth Services and YouthPowerMediaMN. The presentation will be followed by a reflection and discussion time, which we really encourage you to join. And then we will close out for today. Again, thank you everyone for joining today. We are so excited that you are here. For those of you who might be new to our Career Academies space, in 2015, the Greater Twin Cities United Way, in partnership with passionate donors and visionary school districts, set out to reimagine how schools prepare students for success. Career Academies is guided by a vision for wealth building that's centered on Black, Indigenous, students of color, and low-income students through purpose-driven career pathways. We currently partner with 16 school districts across the state of Minnesota, both in the Metro and in Greater Minnesota. And to learn more about our work, you can take a look at the link that we will drop in the chat. So sessions like today, which is a Career Academies Community of Practice convening, are where we have the opportunity as practitioners in this career pathway space to connect with one another and to learn from the excellence that's in our network, which for us includes both funded and unfunded partners. We consult with experts across sectors in order to strengthen the statewide movement for a more equitable and aligned education system. So typically, and those of you who are part of this community of practice on a regular basis, you might hear from myself or my colleague Serene or other practitioners who are doing this kind of really innovative work. You've also likely heard us espousing the importance of youth voice and integrating student agency into our planning. But what we do recognize is that in order to truly engage with youth-driven leadership, we could really think of no better way than to partner with our guests for today and to pass our mic and the platform. For those of you who are community of practice members, the purpose of today is for us as adults who make decisions for and about youth, but often not alongside youth, for us to learn directly from YouthPowerMediaMN, who are thought leaders in our community. We also really hope that you will leave today feeling inspired to action to center youth voice into concrete, sustainable, and long-term practices. Today, I'm personally making the commitment to cut out distraction during this session and to listen deeply and to embrace discomfort as a means towards personal growth, as well as to understand the deep privilege that it is to be in a space like this and to learn from our special guests today. Lastly, after the session, our team will hold space for reflection and discussion, and we strongly encourage you to stay with us and begin the real work of synthesizing what we've heard and what we will learn today, and to identify tools and action steps to integrate youth voice into your career pathways planning or whatever space it is that you occupy. So thank you again so much for being here this evening, and I will now pass off to my colleague, Ann Soto.
Thanks, Liz. Good evening, all, and welcome on behalf of Greater Twin Cities United Way. I have to say, doesn't it feel like such a novelty to be at an evening event? Even if it is still within a virtual platform. My name is Ann Soto, and I lead our United Way grant-making team. This includes both a portfolio of grants where we support organizations like St. Paul Youth Services that are doing youth development programming that are critical to ensure that our community's youth have career and future readiness opportunities, and also within the work that I lead, manage a set of innovation initiatives, projects like Career Academies that you just heard about from Liz, where we're supporting and coordinating efforts that have the potential to result in big solutions for kids in our community. It is super special for me tonight to see these two bodies of work come together, youth development nonprofits and schools, as we all get smarter about how to center youth voice in doing work intended to support youth. Now I get the privilege of introducing St. Paul Youth Services. As an organization, this organization partners with young people to build their leadership. They deliver tools and training to schools and other nonprofits toward transforming practice. They amplify youth voice in public policy on issues that matter towards equitable outcomes for our young people. 9 out of 10 youth that they partner with do better in school, stay out of the juvenile justice system, resolve family conflict without intervention, hospitalization, or removal from home. In a nutshell, their tagline is rewriting the rules of youth engagement. What this means is that their youth vocalize and drive changes to the system in order for the system to work better for youth. I would be remiss in my introduction if I didn't pause for a minute and mention Dr. Asbury, who is the Executive Director of St. Paul Youth Services, and her leadership. Dr. Asbury has spent her career as an advocate for youth, as a school board member, a teacher, a professor, and now Executive Director. I personally have had the privilege of working with Dr. Asbury as she serves on our Greater Twin Cities United Way nonprofit advisory board. Before I transition us, lastly, I would like to note that Greater Twin Cities United Way and my team are here tonight, and we are listening. And why that matters for me to say is that we have been vocal in stating our intent around listening to community, and specifically having our grant-making team work be informed by those who our work and our dollars impact. So while it feels uncomfortable, what that means is taking a back seat. And so with that, it is my honor to pass a figurative mic to Youth Power Media Minnesota.
Thanks so much, Anne. I'm so happy to be here on behalf of my team at St. Paul Youth Services and Youth Power Media, who's coming onto your screens right now. And as Sheila, one of my administrative teams, prepares the PowerPoint, I just wanted to say one of my favorite things about Greater Twin Cities United Way are the people that work there. I can't even tell you what it means to a nonprofit organization doing the work that we do when we have youth champions in every corner of the sector. So thank you so much, Anne, for that beautiful introduction. So let's jump in and get started with the agenda that we have for you tonight. Sheila, if you go back one slide, it asks a very important question that I'll refer to at the end of the presentation. We say we'll do whatever it takes to end racial disparities. Does that include changing our own practices? And that's why Youth Power is here today. So let's move forward to the agenda. And I want to let you know what we have in store for you today. I'll start off with an overview of St. Paul Youth Services to let you know a little bit about the history of the organization and why we do what we do and why we found it necessary to change our own practices. You'll have the opportunity to meet Youth Power Media. They'll engage in an icebreaker, and as Elias says, it's to help them get loose in situations like this. Then they'll talk about reflections on last year and hope for the future, move forward to rewriting the rules of youth engagement, and then we'll wrap up. It sounds like a quick evening, but we're going to go really deep, and we're happy that you're here with us. So moving forward, St. Paul Youth Services has a legacy of innovation that started with the juvenile started with offering an alternative to juvenile detention, which was our pre-charge diversion program. Our roots are in the focus on crime prevention, but we quickly shifted our direction when we recognized that we couldn't just exist to prove how bad young people are. We wanted to move what we call upstream. We started working with adults to see about the conditions that were created to change those so that youth could strive. Next, what we did as an organization is we moved forward to work in schools, which we continue to do today. We work in the law, where we have our pre-charge diversion. We work in community, where we have our training and our workshops. And that's something that we'll talk about a little later in our communication tonight. Now, one of the things that you heard Anne say earlier is that we're rewriting the rules of youth engagement. And I want to talk to you about what that looks like. You'll see here that looks like a smart, fair, and loving approach. Now, this may seem like something touchy-feely, but it's actually just the opposite. A smart, fair, and loving approach means smart means it's research-based. Fair means that we increase racial equity and inclusion. And loving means that we have high expectations with high support. Now, when we think about young people, usually there are three different perspectives that come to mind. Number one, you see how adults see things. There's one adult, as you can see in this picture, and there are a lot of different young people and they have a lot of different needs. The middle picture shows how young people see things. There's one young person at the bottom. There are all these different adults with expectations and requirements. But at St. Paul Youth Services, our picture is the one far on the right. It shows you a young person in the center and has many adults wrapped around them to support them. Now, moving to the next slide, we do more than just address gaps. You remember some time ago that was the big focus on the achievement gap. There's one thing to be a reactive model. That's not what we do at St. Paul Youth Services. What we want to do is we want to weave together a safety net and a trampoline so that young people get to make mistakes and they get to have a restorative response to those mistakes. So as we move forward, you'll notice that our foundation in what we do is not based on feeling, but it's based on values. Values are at the heart of anyone that is really committed to making change and answering the questions, will we do what it takes to end racial disparities? I like to pull 3 of the values out here to highlight for this evening. One of our values is that we recognize youth work is skilled work. Working with young people and doing it effectively and having greater impact is not for everyone. This is a skill. Another value I'd like to pull out is that we amplify youth voice and power to contribute to our community. Another value that I'd like to pull out is that we promote high expectations with high support. And one of my favorites, we respect families as loving experts. We take these values and we accompany them with 4 goals that are in our strategic plan. Goal number 1 is that we have youth partnerships. Goal number 2, we have institutional practices and we work with nonprofits, schools, and public agencies to help them live out their mission of being youth-centric. Goal number 3, we work with public policy because we understand that at the heart of anyone making real change, you have to make institutional change. And goal number 4, we want organizational vitality, which means we want the people, the resources, in proportionate to the work that we're doing. So moving forward, again, St. Paul Youth Services is committed not just to working with young people, but rewriting the rules, meaning that we're staying relevant and we're doing what it takes. So now, before we move on to introducing Youth Power Media, and they're getting all ready and sitting up straight and getting ready to unmute their microphones, I want to show you the logo that we have here, Youth Power Media MN. And we put the M in there because our goal is that we are committed to not just keeping something that works here locally, but we want to be everywhere where young people are. And there's one quote that really will explain the work that we're doing with Youth Power Minnesota, is that our motto is kids changing systems versus systems changing kids. We believe that it is the most promising and proportionate response to dismantling systemic racism, and that engaging youth in shaping and promoting solutions is a largely untested yet effective and strategic approach to change. So without further ado, I am so proud to introduce you to Youth Power Media Minnesota.
I am Dejanay Cusick. Coloring and music gives me joy. One thing that will surprise you about me is I'm starting my own business and I'll be selling lip gloss, body butters, and more.
I am Jemiah Cusick. I am volleyball and dancing gives me joy and confidence. And something that will surprise you about me is that I've been cooking with my mom since I was about 8 years old. And my favorite thing to cook with my mom is egg rolls.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kyrie Hughes-Bester. St. Paul Youth Service in my community gives me joy. One thing that will surprise you about me is that I'm in advanced placement geography because I was too advanced in world history.
My name is Japri Posey. Gaming and coding bring me joy. One thing that may surprise you about me is I love to wake up early to see the sun come up, and I like to hear the birds chirp.
Hi, I am Otavius Doe. seeing my mom waking up at 6 a.m., coming home at 11, and not giving up, give me hope and courage. One thing that will surprise you about me is that I like to learn about Egyptian history and Greek gods.
I am Elias Henry. Basketball and football brings me joy because when you step out on the field or a basketball court, it's just very competitive, and I have a lot of love for the game. One thing that will surprise you about me is I love math because it takes critical thinking.
Okay, two truths and a lie. My favorite color is pink. I know how to ice skate, and I dislike summer. Jemiah.
I think the lie is that you don't like summer.
Elias.
I think the lie is you know how to ice skate.
The lie is I dislike summer.
Well, two truth and a lie. I'm a I'm I'm a Scorpio. I took 5 planes to come to America, and I do not like cheese. Uh, Japri.
I think it is the third one. I think you do like cheese because you eat a lot. I be seeing you. You lick your fingers and everything. You know, you don't leave nothing on the plate.
Yeah, that is true. I do like cheese. Uh, Deja.
Can you repeat it? The other two?
I said I'm a can. I'm a Scorpio. I took 5 planes to come to America, and I don't like cheese.
I think the 5 planes. I think that's the lie.
Yes, the 5 plane is the lie. Popcorn.
It's mine. Okay. My two truths and a lie is my favorite subject in school is algebra. I started to like dance at 10 years old and I started to play volleyball in 8th grade. Kyra.
Can you repeat the first one?
My favorite subject in school is algebra.
I think it's the second
Elias.
I think the lie is the started dancing at 10 because algebra is actually a good subject.
Yeah, the lie was I started to like dance at 10. I started to like dance a lot younger at like 5.
So my two truths and a lie is I've had surgery 3 times. My favorite sport is football, and I have 4 siblings. Japri.
The lie is the first one. You never had 3 surgeries.
Yeah, it's true. I only had 2 surgeries.
My two truths and a lie is I love to listen to music. I'm not allergic to any food. I don't like guac. Um, Elias.
What was the first one?
I love to listen to music.
Um, I think the lie is the third one because guac is actually good.
Yeah, that was the lie. I do like guac.
I knew you like guac. We go to Chipotle all the time. How did you think we didn't know that? All right, I got my two truths and a lie are different. They're gonna be 2020 versions. So the first one is in 2020, $10.4 billion was spent on toilet paper. My second one is COVID-19 has a survival rate of 99.75%. And my last one is the FBI released UFO videos in 2020. Popcorn, Kyra.
one. I think the second one is a lie.
Popcorn, Octavius.
I think I I think the four how much again?
$10.4 billion.
Whoa! I think that's the truth. The $10.4 billion on toilet paper.
The lie was the last one. The Pentagon released UFO videos, not the FBI. The FBI they don't talk too much. They keep their lips sealed.
It's crazy how 10.4 billion was spent on toilet paper last year, and how a lot of people thought that we were going to be short on toilet paper.
That's what I'm saying. Like that could have been used to bring back schools, or that's more than enough to feed the homeless twice all around the world, and stop world hunger. But spending money on useless things is the American thing to do.
Exactly. So I like to talk about more on like what was going on last year, and I like to discuss about COVID-19 because that was a big impact last year on a lot of people. But I feel like COVID-19 impacted the youth a lot in school and distance learning. So like during distance learning last year, me personally, my school, I'm in St. Paul Public School, so our teachers were on strike last year, and we were out a week earlier. So we were thinking we were gonna come back to school like a week later, and just like just go on with our school year because it was springtime too. It was getting nice out. There was more activities. I was getting ready to do track, and like before we even got to have like a track practice or anything, next thing you know, we're out of school. The pandemic hit, and then the teachers were just telling us we don't know what's gonna happen next, but we're just going with the flow. But I feel like youth impacted us a lot because we were just sitting in the house all day. We didn't have nothing to do. A lot of places were shut down because of we had a lockdown, and like we couldn't like get to see our friends. We couldn't like get to explore outside or do anything. So like even the teachers, they were just like passing the students because they know like the youth, like we weren't like processing this like okay. So like they was just like trying to cooperate with the students, making sure like our mental health is okay during this pandemic because a lot of people were not like processing it right.
I think that COVID-19 has caused a huge impact on everyone. Some people say it was a negative impact, and some people say it was a positive impact. But in my life, it caused a negative impact because I was in school when it first started, and the teachers was telling me that we'll be out for 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks turned into a lot of months. And like it just messed us all up. The teachers didn't know what was going on, and we didn't know what was going on. We just thought we was gonna be on break for a little bit while they cleaned out the school, and we just come back to school. But then we started virtual learning, and it got hard. Like it got hard for us to wake up every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We usually do that for school and get on the bus because I will say when we was in school and we got to wake up and get on the bus, I was very motivated to do that. I was like, I had a lot of energy. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna do my work. I had a lot of energy, but now that we're doing virtual learning, I don't have that much energy anymore. I'm motivated, but I'm not that motivated as I should be. And I know other people they don't have people that can help them with schoolwork. We don't have like other places to go to help us with schoolwork. Probably don't have a quiet place. A lot of people probably don't. But I feel like virtual learning is not easy at all, and I just don't like it.
I
Well, I
agree with.
agree with
Go ahead, Octavius.
I agree with what Kara's saying, and being being energized to go to school every day was my motivation because I switched to a school's 3 or 4. Is a very is for creative learning, hands-on learning, things like that. I was I was very into the school so much that it motivated me to go to school every day, wake up, get on the bus. Even though I wasn't taking a school bus, I was still motivated to get on the city bus and still go to school. And that's how motivated I was to wake up every morning just to get on the city bus and go to school. And now we got to do this virtual learning, and I can say sometimes it's positive because I can have time in the middle of the night just do my assessment, send it in to my teachers. But it's also a negative impact because I got to go to work, then I got to do some work things, school things, then I also got to do some things for my mom. So it all crunches together. But when I'm in school, I do my schoolwork. Come home, then I got time to do work and my home choices. So that's it's a negative and a positive impact in my life.
I agree with what Kyra was saying with like everyone processes it differently because like some students are hands-on learning, some students are visual learners, but everyone needs support too. And like when you can't actually have like the authentic support of like someone like actually there to help you, like you lose motivation in distance learning. And I agree on her with that because like even teachers, some teachers they couldn't even do distance learning. Like my teacher, she retired last year because she didn't like how like she didn't get to see her students because she was a person who loved students. Like she loved seeing them every day. Even like the teacher, she was very positive. And like not even for the youth, it's not healthy that you don't get to socialize with your friends, get to see your friends in the hallway during passing time, or like just even like just getting out of the house because like no one wants to stay in the house all day, especially as youth.
I agree with Elias totally when nobody wants to stay in the house all day. Um, Speaking of that, when we had to go on quarantine, like they were saying everybody stay in the house. We had a curfew and everything was going down. I know you did not like to stay in the house. We like to see our friends, like to go outside, have fun, like breathe, take a deep breath, play around. Being in the house, it's not that bad, but it sucks. Also, um, and also with the Elias, I was gonna run track too. Like I was gonna run track. It was the start of track season, so I started running track, but then it like stopped, and now I still can't run track until everything gets like finalized. I still can't run track. They said I probably won't be able to run track until next year, I believe. And I was gonna try like when I get to college, I wanted to run track, but I have supposed to have a record in high school, so I could get recruited and everything, but it didn't work out because of COVID-19.
I like to add on about how like distance learning affects the youth. I like to talk about class of 2020. So I have sisters that's actually a part of class of 2020, and being like seeing their perspective, I know like they're really hurt. They didn't get to experience their final prom or get to be able to walk the stage for graduation. They had a virtual graduation, and it was basically a slideshow, and that didn't feel like real, like you accomplished something. Especially if you go to school for 12 years and you working hard, accomplishing you going to college afterwards or whatever you're gonna do after that. But still, it's even like the feeling of walking across the stage, knowing that you just accomplished 12 years of school, and like the hard work you put in just to receive like a slideshow. Like even like the seniors who were playing sports, they didn't get to experience their last time playing spring sports or like just even like being with the team.
And I agree with what Eli is saying because it's a it's a feeling when you walk across the stage. I feel like it because everybody been saying it. People that have graduated, people been saying it. I'm a junior, yeah. So I'm gonna graduate next year, yeah, yeah. But
Me,
yes, so yeah. So I heard it's that feeling when you walk across the stage, know you accomplished so much. 12 years like just flew by. It be seen like a little time frame, like 12 years just flew by fast. Like it's a flash in your eyes, like yes, I accomplished this. And you while you accomplish that, you making your parents proud. You making your surroundings proud. Like, yeah, you did this. If you making your little brothers and your little sisters proud, like, oh, my big brother just did it. Oh, my big sister just did it. I can do it too. So more people in your family say, "Oh yes, oh I saw my big brother doing this. I'm gonna do it too. Go to college and do what he did. And since he's successful, I'm gonna be successful just like him." That's how.
I
That's
agree.
from a
I
from a.
I agree with what Octavius is saying. I like to also talk about another thing that happened in 2020. It was the killing of George Floyd, and I like to discuss about it. The killing of George Floyd was a really tragic um killing, and it was like it impacted me very badly because I couldn't even watch the video. But it impacted a lot of people too. But like me personally, I couldn't watch the video. I heard that he was crying out for his mom's name and for help, and like the officers, they were just standing around. They weren't trying to tell the officers to get his knee off his neck of George Floyd. And George Floyd was just sitting there helplessly over a little bill that could have been like solved in a different way. But instead, the officer didn't want to resolve in a different way. And I feel like that was just like a necessary way to solve the killing. And like it really impacted a lot of people too around the globe. Like a lot of people were protesting, and like they just really felt like that was something that wasn't right that was going on during that time.
Adding on to what Elias said, I couldn't go to like the protest because my mom wouldn't let me. Me and my sister, we just stayed home and we made like a sign and put it in our window to show that we cared. And we were watching some of the live videos on my phone, and it was like crazy to see and to know that it happened in Minneapolis, right next to where I stay, which is St. Paul.
Adding on to what Dejanay said, as she said, we watched it live, and it was very hard for me to watch, and like it made me feel very nervous to be around police officers, and I still feel that nervousness to this day, and I just don't like feeling like that in my community.
And I agree with what everyone just said. Police brutality has been around for for a long time now, and we haven't really put our foot down until now, because the way George Floyd was handled, and it wasn't right. It wasn't right to the people and to the community. We saw what was going on, and it was wrong. So we decided to put our foot down in the protest. I believe the protest was amazing, and we stuck up for what we believed in, and we stuck up for what was right.
I agree with. Oh, go ahead, Jeffrey.
I agree with what everybody's saying, and also with his killing, it wasn't just the people in Minneapolis that marched; it was everywhere around the world. It was people in other seas and other countries marching. There were people who had no connection to who he was, but to what happened to him, and it was on a global scale. And so, a lot of people want to bring up the bad stuff, like the destruction of private property, and going into these places and stealing stuff, and that's bad too. But you got to look at the cause of things, and the cause always comes before the effect. And so I just really hope that justice is brought upon the police officer who did it, because his trial is going on today right now. So hopefully we get some form of justice, because this is just the first of many cases of black brutality or police brutality.
I agree with Japri. We like to honor the lives lost due to police brutality.
Trayvon Martin, 17 years old.
Breonna Taylor, 26 years old.
Orlando Castillas, 32 years old.
Ahmaud Arbery, 25 years old.
George Floyd, 46 years old. We ask that you pause with us for a minute of silence. Thank you.
As Black youth, we see reality, and we can still believe that reality can be different.
I have a quote from a famous Black musician named Kendrick Lamar. I look at where I am in life today and realize that most of my success is owed to the mentors that were in my life. Kendrick Lamar. Rewriting the rules of youth engagement. Here we're gonna talk about where wealth comes from, Black families building with generational wealth, prioritizing physical health and mental health, and as well as community wealth. So to start off, wealth comes from multiple sources. It comes from past generations, investing, or being an entrepreneur. So creating your own business from the ground up and figuring out how to get out there and get active with it. Wealth provides a means for families to invest within their own children, their own Black youth, whether that be their education, which is most important, starting a business, or even relocating to different areas, which you see a lot of Black families do once they get in a situation where they can change their living situation and move. The most important type of wealth is health because health is wealth. And the best thing that can be passed down, also besides health, is a source of wealth. So investing your time, your energy into yourself or your friends, or even into a community. And so I wanted to talk about how a lot of communities you see nowadays, they look very different. There's communities everywhere, all across the world, but they're different type of communities. Most notably, ones I noticed are like Woodbury, where you go over to Woodbury and it's just beautiful. The sidewalks are nice, they're not chipped. The parks over there, the grass is cut, people walking their dogs. But then you go over to somewhere like East Side, maybe Payne Avenue or up Arcade, and then you see people. Well, you don't see people walking their dogs. You don't see parks. You don't see any of that kind of stuff, and that's because you got different kind of communities that do different kind of things. You got people who care about it and people who don't. And so it's important to invest in the communities because it can help out everybody around there. Community wealth is not very common, especially in Black neighborhoods, because they just don't talk about it enough. It's not being brought up enough. And so what's important is making sure that there are tools there so those Black youth can find a way to be successful and to create a wealth for themselves or for their families. And so some communities don't have grocery stores within a couple blocks. Some don't even have corner stores. Some don't have benches where you can sit on while you're waiting for the bus or when you're with friends. And so that's why it's important to give youth the resources they need to create the things that they want to get for themselves and for the people around them. And that's how you build each other up. That's how you invest in each other. And that's one of the most important ways to use wealth and to build it for other people. Youth Power and Youth Power Media are a wealth, and like I've been here the longest, and I've seen people come and go, but they gain something every time they come and go. They gain knowledge, they gain wisdom, and so what we're doing right here, right now, is you guys listen to us. This is going to be talked about for years, and down the line, it's going to come up somewhere. The choices we made today and what it will lead to.
Like I said in my introduction, I'm starting a business. So the way it started was I was just laying in my bed, and because of COVID, I couldn't go anywhere. All the restaurants were shut down. There was nothing to do. And I was talking to my friend on the phone, and I was like, what if I start a business? And she was like, yeah. And then we were just like coming up with different names that I could use. And I came up with the name Glamorish. Glam is like beauty. I think of beauty when I hear glam. And then ish is just, I always put ish on everything. So I just started like watching YouTube videos and taking notes on what I needed and all the stuff I had to get. My dad is also starting a business. So he decided that he'll help me. He told me like what I need to do, like get my LLC, get a website. And I wanted to start right then and there. But he told me, he was like, no, you can't start today. You need to slow down. So that's when I just started taking notes and watching videos, seeing what I need to do, what I need to get. And I also noticed that you have to be like mindful of people's allergies because you don't know what people's allergic to. So after taking notes, I just started putting like my plan into action. So right now I am getting like products and stuff. I'm ordering it. And Youth Power back like I don't know when it was, but they had like people come talk to us about wealth and credit, and that really helped me now since I'm starting a business. I can use what I learned and put that into me starting my business.
Dejanay and her father is an example of black families building generational wealth because Dejanay is investing her time and her money into her business, and she's investing her time because the process doesn't start right away. It takes time. She took the time to take notes, write down her steps, and she's investing her money by getting an LLC so that she can have her business her name marked so that no one can use her name. Dejanay's father is investing in Dejanay because he's investing her time. I mean his time into Dejanay, giving her the tools for success. So black families building generational wealth. It starts with the youth, investing in youth by sharing tools for success, learning how to save, long term long term care plans such as retirement. For example, like for me personally, I didn't have like the opportunities to like have tools to pay for education, so I got to rely on scholarships and loans. But like me for the future, I want to like build generational wealth for like my future generation, and some way I can do that is by having a 529 plan. A 529 plan, if you don't know, is a advantage investment made to encourage savings for the future higher education expenses. And it basically is like they're taking taxes out share funds to go towards the youth education so that they can pay for college for your future generation. And I never had that opportunity to learn about that until recently, like as a senior and like throughout Youth Power, as Dejanay was saying, we are having like these workshops where people will come in and talk to us about credit and like budgeting and saving. So being able to have these opportunities to learn about this, I can be able to use this for the future generation to build generational wealth for my future generational kids. And I feel like these tools will be helpful for success and to be able to save money.
And I agree with what Eli is saying. Generational worth is like we the future right now. This whole millennial is the future right now. If we can gather together like that, the way we working with youth power, we can save up our check, save it up, that's growing our money right there. We could say, oh yeah, let's invest into this. Oh, we just invest into a company, or if the company bill go big, oh yeah, kids, this is my worth. I just showed you how I did it. Now I expect you to do it too. That's sharing on to the future. And you in the future can share into another future, and another future can share into another future, and they can go on and on like that.
I agree with Octavius. Also, another point I like to share is me personally, like my parents, they always tell me like how they they make sacrifices and they stress financially so that we don't have to see the stress that they went through. Like us growing up, we don't have to deal with the problems they had to deal with, especially during this pandemic. Like this pandemic affected a lot of jobs, especially my parents. Like and basically like they're making sacrifices for the way we can live in the future so that we can use education as a gateway for success.
I agree. And what we do right now is exactly what we're talking about. We're building wealth this very second. Those kids you see on those slides that we were going through, they were the original youth power. They came before even me, and they did a whole bunch of work. And the crazy thing is they helped build the foundation of youth power, and in a sense they built wealth off of that and passed it down. And so that wealth they gave to us, we're taking it and we're making it, we're making more of it, and we're eventually going to pass it down to the next generation. And so, have you ever heard that term, the newer generation always surpasses the old? That's true, but it's only true based on the tools they have. You can't build something if you don't have the right tools. And so what we do right now today, that's just every time we click that join button, we come together, we're building wealth. We're building informational wealth. We're building community wealth. Time and time again, we've been building up our community, helping it, making it grow. And that's what we're all about. That's what we always do. That's always been the message, systems changing kids versus kids changing systems. And so when we elucidate this endeavor, that's what's gonna make the difference. What you guys hear, just listening to us, just taking in and processing what we're telling you, we're making a change this very second. Every second, Youth Power is together, Youth Power Media together, we are creating history and we're creating wealth.
I agree with Dupree completely, but thank you all for listening. But because you're listening, you have a chance to invest in me because I've made a commitment to health education. For example, right now I'm taking a biomedical class and I'm hoping that I will be able to go in the career of my choice, which is being a pediatrician.
Because you're listening, you have an opportunity to invest in me because as a black youth, I don't have many opportunities, but with Youth Power, I received the opportunities due to investments that youth receive. I also use education as a gateway, and I want to use education to get a career in sports medicine, and receiving the support and resource from you will be a great tool for success.
Because you're listening, you have an opportunity to invest in me. Because I'm a young entrepreneur and a bright man looking forward to the future, to success, and I believe I can change the future. I'm a clothesline designer. I love art and I love to draw, customize shoes, paint. I love a lot of things, and creative art also help me with things like that too. And Youth Power also help me with things like that too by being a leader and going forward to believe in what, to achieve what I believe in and be a leader that I am, lead the future to what it's supposed to be as a black man in the black community. And I believe I can change the future.
Because you're listening to me, you have an opportunity to invest in me. Because I have dreams and hopes that my business will be big one day, and I want all the work I put into it to pay off.
Because you're listening to me, you have an opportunity to invest in me because I want to have my own recreation center for the youth to come to eat, and if they need help, get the help that they need. I show my commitment to my community by doing community service all the time, and I help my mother with her business in the community, so I have more experience.
Because you're listening, you have an opportunity to invest in me because I plan, I coordinate, I execute. If it takes one community to make a change, I'll make sure mine is the first. And thank you for listening to me and all of Youth Power Media.
First of all, I want to thank Youth Power Media. They know that at the end of every session that we have, I tell them how much I love them. And I've been doing that for almost 4 years. Japri and I started this together 4 years ago in the summer. And we've had many people that have gone through our program that are still really organizing wherever they are, building power together. So I want to thank you, Japri, for starting your freshman year. You're going to be you're a senior now. So that's really exciting. So I want to thank you all and let you know how much I love you. I want to thank you all who are listening to the young people. You can hear this often, that young people are always grateful to be heard. And I think that says a couple things. Number one, it says that they're not used to it because it should be common. And number two, it says that we as adults need to do a better job, right? So I just want to ask the question again, which I asked in the beginning. We say we'll do whatever it takes to end racial disparities. Does that mean changing our own practices? Sheila, if you can move to the next slide. I want to give you some statistics from Racial Equity and Philanthropy. This is a report from Echoing Green discussing the disparities in funding for leaders of color. and it said disparities in funding for leaders of color leave impact on the table. So when you think about the young people that you just heard from and the impact that one program has had, and I do not believe that Youth Power is the one that brought this out of these beautiful Black youth. They've always had it in them. What is missing are the adults that we wished we'd had when we were growing up, right? Those people that saw us, not just our potential, but they saw us and they listened to us. But I want to just really impress upon you that as a Black leader of an organization, how it's important that I take this opportunity to give you some important statistics. The first statistic that I'll give you from Echoing Green, and this is the organization that Michelle Obama was a member of, that Van Jones from CNN was a member of. They did this report in May 2020. The first statistic, 90% of Black nonprofit leaders surveyed identified lack of trust by foundations as one of the biggest barriers their organization faces in receiving funding. Number two, Black nonprofit leaders receive only 4% of foundation funding, even though they make up 10% of nonprofit leaders. Number three, on average, the revenues of Black-led nonprofits are 24% smaller than the revenue of white-led organizations. Stay here, Sheila. The reason why I want to bring up these statistics is that we say we'll do anything to end racial disparities, but does that mean changing our own practices? So I know that there are a variety of folks on the call today, but if you're amazed to hear from young people, I want to impress upon you that we need to adjust where we're looking and where we're giving to make sure that that is the voice that we're hearing. St. Paul Youth Services has been doing this work for quite some time, and we changed our practice because we realized when we looked at the data in our behavior intervention programs, in our pre-charge diversion programs, time and time again, we kept seeing that Black young people were the cause of the problems in the community, and the problems at school, and the problems at the home. And because of my experiences, as Ann talked about, being a Minneapolis public school teacher, being on the school board in Minneapolis, and being a parent myself, I knew that with the right conditions, that young people could thrive. And that's what Youth Power provides. So I want to encourage you all, when you think about career academies, when you think about doing right by young people, I want to encourage you to listen to them and to partner with them to make that happen. So as we move to the next slide, one of the things that I want to impress upon you when we ask this question at St. Paul Youth Services, we're not finished yet. We started with Youth Power 4 years ago, last summer. We started Youth Power Media last summer to expand Youth Power Without Walls, because we had a waiting list of young people who wanted to be a part of our program, and we did not want to turn anyone away any longer. But one of the things that we want to impress upon is that we're continuing to look ahead to see the data, to have that smart, fair, and loving approach that I talked about before, to see if we say that things are harder for our Black youth, then we need to respond in proportion to that challenge. So I want to thank you for listening, like the young people said, but I want to push you to act. There's an opportunity to have reflection and discussion when Liz comes on in just a minute. I would also invite you to our new strategic plan rollout coming up next month on April 27th to hear what we're doing next, because we're not done. We have work to do together with our Black youth, and I'm really proud to lead this organization, and I'm extremely proud of our young people this evening. So without further ado, I'll bring Liz, one of my favorite people at Greater Twin Cities United Way, back onto the mic.
So this is where we would pause in person to give a loud applause. Thank you, all of you, for your excellent presentation. I have to say that I both was like grinning through parts because it was so fun to watch you all and hear from you. And then at other times I had chills. So thank you all so much for bringing this to our audience. This has been such an incredible presentation and really an opportunity for all of us to learn from you all and for all of the amazing work that you do.